Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the back of the room.
So you may be asking, why is he crazy enough to ride a unicycle up there? Well, I'm kind of shaking right now, to be honest with you, but let me tell you why. How many of you have tried to do something and fallen flat? How many of you have wanted to do something, but, been like, I don't know, I'm like an idiot of myself? Well, when I told somebody, I said, I'm going to ride the unicycle on convention, they said, are you sure you want to do that? You're going to look like a clown. I said, these guys already know me, I am. But, I'm foolish enough to do something crazy. But I wanted to do that because I wanted to stick in your mind the principle, the encouragement that when you fall, it's not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up again. It's about trying again. Never, ever, ever quitting, right? See, I was thinking we're going to get to the end of convention and, I'm going to be so excited. You're going to be so excited. We're going to feel the adrenaline. We're going to feel the emotion. We're going to feel like, hey, we can just go out there and we can fly home. I'm going to be Louis and Laverne Smith next year. I'm going to be Alan and Nicole Blaine. But you've heard them say it, heard each of them say over and over that they went through so many challenges, so many setbacks. But I think that when we look at people who do something extraordinary, we think, well, that's great for them. Doesn't that encourage you to hear our leaders tell you that they're just like us? Let me take you back a moment when I first picked up that unicycle. My father-in-law, he can ride a unicycle, and there's 12 children in the family, and nobody else can ride that unicycle. And I thought, I want to do it. I respect my father-in-law, Chelsea's dad, in a huge way. And I thought, I want to try that. And then I remember I got that unicycle right before we moved, and I had it. I thought, I'm going to learn this right away. I'm going to get up, I'm just going to take off, and I'm going to go. Well, I remember getting on that thing and feeling like an absolute idiot as the neighbors were all like lining up like, who's that fool? And don't you know, they got bicycles, and tricycles. Caesar still calls this thing a tricycle. Caesar, you're going to come over and we're going to ride this thing together, okay? But it's a unicycle, and it's not really meant, you can't just get on it and go. But I was so determined that I would, because I heard a story of somebody who did. There's always exceptions, you look every now and then you find, but you know what I found out? This kid who did it, who I knew who had got on it and rode it as a kid, well, he had been riding motorcycles since he was 3 years old and doing wheelies and stuff. He comes from a family of professional riders. There was a lot behind that story that I didn't know. And then, I got to California last year. It was my birthday, and I thought, you know what? I gave up on that thing, that unicycle dream, but I'd still like to learn to ride a unicycle. So my birthday last summer, I unwrapped it over at a friend's house. We got on that unicycle, and I said by midnight, this was 8 p.m., I thought persistence alone will just do it. I'm going to ride that thing by midnight. Do you think I was riding that thing that day? No. Because there's a law that says that persistence and consistency, it takes time to build the muscles necessary, right? It takes time in this business. You don't get there overnight. We don't teach you get rich quick in this business. We tell you you will be successful. You will succeed if you don't quit. It's the best opportunity in town. It's the best opportunity for an average person to be able to succeed beyond their wildest dreams and imaginations. But the reality is when you hit Monday morning, you're going to have challenges when we get home. You're going to have setbacks. And you know what? We're not here. I don't want to be a motivational speaker from the standpoint that just pumps you all up, and then reality just slaps you in the face, and then you say, you know what? You give up. And like Louis Smith said, the reality is many of you that I'm looking at won't be here next year. That absolutely breaks my heart to think that. Because it won't because the business failed on you. It won't because the products failed on you. It's because somebody's going to come along and tell you, how dare you believe, how dare you dream to think that you can do the extraordinary. You know you're not Alan and Nicole Blaine. They'll say, you know you're not Louis Smith. Come on, we know who you are. You're the average guy next door. You see, it's always been the average people that go out and do the extraordinary things. So you know what? That day, I didn't ride the unicycle by midnight. And I'm telling you, though, it wasn't because I didn't try. Literally, the minutes were ticking on. I rode like 10 feet, and we set up a goal that if we got past 30 feet, we'd give $20 to the other person. I was going to get that $20. I was going to get that $20. I have never been so determined. I was going to do it. But then I'd ride 10 feet. I'd ride 15 feet. I mean, that was lucky to do that. And then I would get on it the next time and fall flat right away. In fact, I figured it was probably going to happen coming down this aisle on the carpet in my dress shoes. I thought, you know what, it'll just prove the point that I'm trying to make. That, you know what, you got to fail over and over and over to succeed. And so, you know what, we set a goal that in 90 days, we were going to ride the unicycle 1 mile. The next day on Monday, I was sore, I was hurting from that. And I thought, you know what, I got to get back on. I got to get back on that unicycle because it won't happen unless it's daily disciplines. And we're going to talk in the breakout session about 3 daily success habits. And I want it to be so ingrained in each of you that you go home and you say, you know what, this business is not complicated. It is the little things. And you say, I'm committed to the daily, the little, small disciplines that will get me where I need to go. But I want to share a story with you. The reality is, during that 90 days, I didn't think I was going to get to a mile. I really got to a point where I was like, you know, I can't figure this out. Why can I all of a sudden ride 30 feet, then I'm falling over? You know, why when the slightest I hit a little pebble or uneven, I'm falling over? I can't start without holding on to somebody. There's a lesson right there. See, it hit me the first time I got on a unicycle. It hit me that everything I needed to learn about success, I could learn riding that unicycle. And in fact, the opposite was true, that everything I needed to learn about riding that unicycle, I had learned through building a NeoLife business. It hit me that moment. I thought, this little thing right here will teach me what I need to learn. That, you know what, it's about the daily things, about not giving up, falling and getting back up, not caring what people think about me or what they say about me or why they look at me and say, oh, you look like a clown and a fool when you're hitting your face. Guess what? I'm going to say it again. You're going to hit your face this year. If you're willing to step out and talk to people, you're going to make a fool out of yourself every now and then. Let me tell you about somebody else who made a fool of himself. Did you see that new book that just came out, The Wright Brothers? Do you remember who the Wright Brothers are? Did you fly here on an airplane? You wouldn't have come here on an airplane if it weren't for the Wright Brothers. What was it about the Wright Brothers? Why did, after all these thousands of years, did finally somebody invent an airplane? I think there's a few things, and one I didn't think of until just 2 days ago that hit me. Why? And I'm going to come to that in a few minutes, and I hope that point you take home with you. But you know what? These guys were just ordinary. Didn't even go to college. They worked in a bicycle shop, which was another reason people made fun of them. Said, yeah, right, these guys are going to fly. And you know what? Even after they flew, nobody believed them that they had flown when they had flown at Kitty Hawk. And then they come home and they won't give up. In 4 years, they just keep going at it and going at it. And the newspapers are saying, man will never fly, because the Smithsonian Institute had already invested tons of money. They looked like a fool, the Smithsonian Institute, for backing somebody else who was the head of the Smithsonian Institute who said, I will fly. And he didn't, kept crashing in the Potomac. And yet these brothers believed that they could do it. They believed, and they kept getting back up, and they financed it themselves. And you know what? In this business, sometimes we get in this business and we say, you know what? I'm gonna in 90 days, in 6 months, in 1 year, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna break every record. Guess what? You may. We got people who have, but you might not. But guess what? You can still get there. I didn't build the fastest. In fact, when I started this business, some of you have heard me say this, you know, I was blessed to have parents who built this business. I was. But every one of us, just like you heard Karina Horacio say, every one of us must make that decision for ourselves. You know, some of the worst things that don't get me wrong, the best and the worst things that can happen in this business is to have an awesome upline. Now, it is great in a way if you understand the danger of it too. And you just heard that sharp couple just share that with us, didn't they? That you can get so comfortable and all underneath the wings that you never get out of your cocoon and spread your wings to find out what is actually possible and what you can do until you're willing to make an absolute idiot out of yourself if necessary. See, to me, success is not what size car you drive, how big of a home you live in, how many material possessions you have at the end of your life. I believe success is the gap between your potential that God has given you, and the reality of what you achieve in terms of developing that unique talents, gifts, and abilities that God has given you. Leaders are not born, leaders are made. They make a choice. And I look at people who have had the toughest backgrounds, the most to overcome. And can I tell you something from the bottom of my heart that I believe with every ounce of me? That those who think they have the least chance to succeed, if they'll only understand the way I see it so crystal clear, if they'll only get this and believe it, I think they're the ones who have the most opportunity to reach the highest heights. Because I believe that when you see somebody that, if most of the time there's no such thing as luck, but every now and then you do see a lottery winner, and you challenge you to that thinking, right? But look at a lottery winner. Are you inspired by them? Or do you simply, perhaps you envy what they have? You may envy it, but you're not inspired. You don't look at them and say, wow, they've overcome adversity and challenges and look what they've done. In this business, the more you've overcome, the more prepared you are to lead. The harder you have it. When my brothers call me and they tell me about challenges that are happening in their life, you have to understand, I love them so much. I mean, my mom was nearly, you know the story. We didn't think she'd live to see us grown, so I had to help raise my siblings and change their diapers. And David, Luke, and Micah, Mom will tell you I changed most of them. But you know what? By the way, that's a lesson right there. The harder the challenges you overcome, great things come out of that. All things work together for good in the end, right? And so when they call me and they'll share a challenge, I know I feel about them like I'll feel my younger brother. They're like best friends, but then they're also younger brothers, right? So it's this dynamic relationship we have. But I realize how I'll feel and already begin to with my kids, right? That when they tell me they're going through a challenge or something, my heart breaks, and at the same time I think, you know what? That's the best thing that could possibly happen, because I want them to have the greatest impact in their life that they could, beyond what they can even imagine or conceive or even believe, and it will not happen without falling over and over and over again. We come back to the right, yes. So congratulations, because some of you, Alan and others have mentioned, some of you you slept in your cars to get here. You overcame, unbelievable obstacles, but you're here. There's a reason why you're here, and never forget that you're here in this place at this time. I believe you're here for such a time as this. I believe in the next 5-10 years, we're going to create history like you've never seen before. And I, for one, and I know I'm not alone in this, I am willing to make any sacrifice, overcome any obstacle, and the bigger the obstacle that I confront, the bigger the success I believe that God has in store for us. Right? Right? Some people tell me, well, I tried that, it didn't work. No, I believe the opposite is true. If you make a decision to do something, you pray about it. Yes, you pray about it. But after you've prayed about it, there's no more praying about it and thinking about it. It's a time for action. And it's a time to recognize that now any hindrance that comes is only put there by the enemy to distract you from the incredible blessings that God has for you in store right in front of you. I read that story again, coming back to the Wright brothers, and it's unbelievable when you follow this story. It's absolutely unbelievable. I think, could I have hung in there that long without giving up? Would that be possible to do that when everybody's calling you an absolute blooming idiot? When you're taking your own money out of your pocket and financing it, while this other guy is getting financed by the Smithsonian Institute. And you feel like, well, they got an unfair advantage. But you keep working at it, you keep trying, and you nearly kill yourself, and you keep trying. Because you believe that you have something special that can change the world. Because you see something and no one else sees it yet. If you're waiting for everyone else to acknowledge that you're on the right track, you'll never do anything great with your life. If you're waiting on everybody else to come pat you on the back, leadership can be a lonely road for a time. Achieving your potential that God has for you can be an extremely lonely road at times. But I'm going to tell you something, it is absolutely the most fulfilling, and you're in these seats, you know that because you've achieved great things already. But don't assume that because we've achieved greatness, that we can rest there, right? We keep getting challenged in order to be able to overcome and to do greater and better things ahead. And you know what, when they had that field there that they had back at home in Dayton, Ohio, after they had already flown, people wouldn't come out. I'm going to say it again. They said, that fool in the papers. They said, I felt sorry for them, said people right down the street. I felt sorry if they'd be asked, have you heard about those boys with that contraption that they think they're going to do something with? I feel sorry for those idiots. They should be minding their business and go back to work in their bicycle shop. I mean, what right did that person have to tell them? They're using their own money because they had a dream, and yet everybody's giving them advice. You should go back to your bicycle shop. First of all, don't listen to those people giving you advice. They have no right to give it to you in the first place, right? If you feel called to do it, you go out there and you do it anyway. But guess what happened? As soon as they took off, finally, they couldn't even get the government, once they were flying, doing loops and circles for the first time man has ever done that. They wrote the Defense Department. They said, hey, guys, we want to give this to you first. But you know what? They ended up going to France. You start with your friends and family, the people you care about. They love this country. They wanted to give our country the first chance at buying this technology, right? Then they went to France. And then it drew out for almost 3 years before they even got a chance, to prove what they could do there. And then finally, I'm going to fast forward through the story, but finally in the end, they finally get a chance and they ship the plane. The plane breaks in shipping and all. I mean, it was the biggest discouraging obstacle that most of us would have said, it's just not meant to be, whatever, bye. But they rebuilt the entire thing. One of the brothers was all by himself, had to do it. They flew, and guess what? Finally, years later, they got the recognition that they deserved. And then thousands and thousands of people came. And then finally, the other brother got the opportunity to go to DC and fly. And then finally, thousands, the government offices all shut down and everybody came out to see it. And then the newspapers were asked, well, why didn't you cover this before? Right? Do you feel like that right now? Sometimes you're talking to people and you're like, they don't get it. They tell you to go home, go back to your regular business. I heard that all the time starting out. I was blessed with great parents, but the problem is they'd already recruited everybody I knew. You gotta understand, my brothers didn't come around till just the last couple years, and it's the most fulfilling thing to work with family. But it was a very, very lonely road when my parents were in retirement, and I was out there doing my first meeting on my own with buck teeth, big gap between my teeth, and I remember it was hard to close my mouth, but I'd be conscious that they were gonna see my big gap, because I had this tooth presentation that I did that I wouldn't recommend, but it worked at that time. But anyhow, it was showing dental structures and all this, and how nutrition affects it, so now everybody was looking at my teeth. And I remember people were sleeping in the back of the first meeting. And I remember I paid for my first meeting room because my parents' upline had moved out of Atlanta. They were in North Carolina now. So if I wanted to do meetings, I had to do it on my own. And I remember one person came out, they feel sorry for me, and they give me all the advice afterwards of what I should have done, and it was just extremely, extremely discouraging. But there was one thing that kept me going. It was I knew the products worked. I knew the company had absolute integrity. I knew if I just didn't quit and did the opposite of what I felt like doing, I would succeed. See, that little piece of advice right there to me is so simple, but yet someone shared it with me and it changed my life. Just do the opposite of what you feel like doing. Because most of the time, every time I do that, would you agree? How many of you, are there a few in here in this room that didn't feel like coming to convention? You thought, I don't need it, and I just need to keep working my business. I need to keep building. I don't need to go hear all that. I already know it all. And then I come to convention, you don't know what you just don't know, right? So for how many of you are you at that point where your friends, your family, you yourself, your mind is telling you, quit, give up, you're not them. Please don't quit. You may not be as fast as the next person. You may not set the record, but at the end, guess what? Zig Ziglar said, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to the top. The view is the same for us all. But I'm going to tell you something. I honestly, with all my heart, I believe, look, the convention is double. You're starting to see it. There's still some of you that are saying, I don't know, but I could point to this or I could point to that. It's not perfect. It's not this. It's not that. Guess what? We're going to work as hard as we can possibly work, but it will never be perfect. If you're waiting for the perfect home, the perfect church, the perfect company. It will never be, right? If it's gonna be, it's up to me to make that become a reality. I mean, look at this. This is Disney, right? Disney, Anaheim. Disney is where dreams come true. Say it again. Disney is where dreams come. Do you want your dreams to come true? Well, you know what? Disney's story has inspired me. I think on it all the time. And I'm not a big Disney person, not Disney Park, but I am about his story. He had a dream. It didn't just come to be. He got turned down 302 times before anyone would actually believe in his dream. How would that have changed your family's vacations? How many of you have ever been to Disney before? By the way, I didn't get to go to Disney till I was an adult. So if you haven't been there, don't feel sorry for yourself. I would sit there and twice at Disneyland and Disney World and watch people coming into the park and watch them leaving because we were at the hotel, but we weren't at the point yet where you could send 10 kids to Disney. You understand what I mean, right? But you know what? But I was amazed by that. You know, Disney has all these families coming and all this going on. And I think it almost never came to be. Almost never came to be, except he never took no for an answer. Isn't that amazing? It's really just that simple. Jerry keeps reminding us of that all the time. All these books are written out there to try to take all of our money sometimes, to act like it's all complicated. It's just don't quit. It's just don't give up. But there is something else that I think oftentimes that we forget. And to bring this point out, I'm going to take us to, and then we're going to begin to wrap this up here in a couple minutes here. But there is a quote from an Olympic athlete that has always inspired me. It's in the movie, The Gabby Douglas Story. Gold medalist Gabby Douglas says, you want to know how to become a champion? Well, it's easy. Turn your dream, you want to hear how easy it is? Turn your dream into a goal. Did we hear leaders say that today? Set goals. Plant it deep within your heart. Then for the next 10 years, eat, sleep, breathe, laugh, and cry without ever so much as taking your eyes off the goal, not even for a second. Now, you know what? We can say that right now. You can leave this room and you can say, that sounds good. I'm going to do that. But what happens next week? Let's come back to that. What happens next month when all of a sudden you're only human and those discouragements set in and you start to say, who am I to think it's actually even possible? And see, that happened to me over and over. Who am I, Josh? I never finished college. Who am I? With the buck teeth and big gap between my teeth, and all I know to go to is the mailman, the UPS driver, and I have to go do my meetings on my own starting out. Who am I to think I could succeed? And everyone around me is saying, that's great, they can do it. But look around the room. I was the only person in my 20s at that time. When I was in my 20s, honestly, I can't think of, besides until getting to meet Karina and Horacio, I didn't know anybody else that was my same age that was building the business. And then Caesar asked you to raise your hand if you're 35 and under, and I look around and I'm just like, whoa. I dreamed that one day that would become a reality. That we need baby boomers all the way down to the young people because we need the baby boomers to mentor the next generation, right? It's going to get done. If it's going to get done, it's going to get done right now, generally by the baby boomers and the middle age, but they're going to inspire the next generation. They're going to come right up behind because for me, the best education I ever received was growing up in this business called network marketing. The absolute best, and that's what drew me back. That and the fact it saved my mom's life. After I ran for office and did other things. That, by the way, people told me I'd never win running for office. Well, by the way, don't listen to what other people tell you. I can remember getting so discouraged the first call I made asking for if they would contribute to my campaign. And the guy just tore me down in such a way. What makes you think I would even be supporting you? Don't you know who's in this race? Don't you know who's running? And I said, I don't even know if I'm going to win, but I'm going to give everything I have. That's all I know. I will leave everything and I'll run it clean and positive, and I know I'm supposed to do it. And I've never had that dream to do it until now, but I believe I'm supposed to do this. But I remember getting off that phone and being so discouraged that I'm not somebody who cries, but I tell you what, I felt like it. I felt so beat up, so little. Like, who are you to think you could do that? And I remember my first campaign meeting, we had, think about what should I share with them? And I thought, I'm just going to tell them reality. Reality is God's chosen the foolish things of this world, confound the things which are wise, and the base things, the things which are not, the very foolish things that nobody gives any chance for. God's going to use them to show himself strong on their behalf. And I remember there was somebody in our campaign that I knew wasn't a person of faith, and I said, he will absolutely think I'm an idiot and a nut, and the rest of them, even if they are, maybe if they are Christians or whatever, they're going to think, well, you know what? We can't back a stupid idiot. This is public. Everybody's going to see it. But you know what? It took a while to build up steam. It took a while. It took a lot of hard work, but we won by a landslide. We won by a landslide. 4 people in the race, we won by 70-30. But it taught me exactly what we're doing in this business, that you have to have a vision. You have to be committed. You have to burn the bridges behind you. And you say, I will be here, which is about to come to my last point as I close. And that is the key to it all. Can I tell you, it's one key that I think we leave out way too often. And it's accountability. It's accountability. And will the man who helped me ride that unicycle, not 1 mile, but 3 miles, Justin Oliver, come to the front of the room real quick? See, because it would not have happened, but he kept calling me saying, Josh, and I would call him, and together we made it not 1 mile, but 3 miles. And we did it the day before the 90 days was up. We did it.
What a night.
Go ahead, keep going.
What a night that was. John Miller said it best, nuts is good. And Josh came, his family was gone. I invited him over for his birthday, and he pulls out a unicycle. And he says, we're going to ride this. And I said, no, we're not. You are. And he's like, no, we both got to do it. We got to be accountable. And again, I was like, well, go for it, Josh. I'm not going to do this. And, he was teaching me this lesson, and he's like, it's our new 90-day challenge. Well, now I can't say no. We got on it. We put $10 on the line and said, whoever goes 30 feet gets $10. We didn't go 4 feet. We fell and fell and fell. We were bleeding. Josh had his nice shoes on. My oldest son was here. My wife and the rest of the kids were gone. I said, Josh, it's getting 10 o'clock. I got to be a responsible dad. I got to get home for my kid. He goes, great, I'll follow you over to your house. Follows me over to the house, and we keep riding all the way up until midnight. But it wasn't until, I don't know, about halfway through our 90-day challenge, he was on the road with Chelsea and the kids, and I flipped open the laptop to get in my back office. And he gives me a call, and I see it's Josh. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm in the back office looking at our team. I was excited, and he goes, how's the unicycle going? And I said, I thought he forgot about it, honestly. I shut the laptop, went out and started riding the unicycle. It was after church was our 90-day, and he said, come on over after church, we're going to ride. And we rode, and Stephen, his oldest son, was there, and we did 1 mile. And I said, where's Josh? Oh, he kept going. Well, I wasn't going to stop. So we kept going. It was after 3.2 miles, we both decided that was enough. But it was the lesson that he was teaching me, and I didn't understand what he was teaching me. I thought we were just riding a unicycle being nuts, but he kept telling me, you're going to fall, you're going to fall, you're going to fall. But if you keep getting back up, you'll hit your goals. And we're doing that now. Our team's doing that now, and it's because of Josh and an accountability partner that's happening. So
thank you, Justin. Folks, I was leaving the next day after that 90 days was up. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I wanted to let that goal go because I was afraid we were not going to achieve it. And I'll be honest with you, he's forgetting one detail. When it came to that 90 days, he was like, when are we going to ride? When are we going to ride? And I wasn't feeling good that weekend either. I'd just come back on the road. I was absolutely exhausted that Sunday. I'd been working all day on Saturday, and I was just like, I got to pack on the afternoon. But the accountability partner, I helped him, but he helped me. So my challenge to you is if you're really serious about this, you can't do it alone because no athlete, no matter how great they are, ever achieves success on their own. Is that not true? High school, college, Olympic, pro, they always have a coach to hold them accountable. Is that true? So my challenge to you is, will you make that commitment? You find somebody you respect that you look up to, and you say, will you challenge me? You ask me every week how I'm doing. Every week ask me, how am I doing toward achieving that goal? Ask me, how am I doing towards the sacrifices I said I would make so I could impact and change the world? Because we will become the #1 company. We will. We already are #1, but the world will know, and we're going to have the market share because we deserve to have it. We're going to create thousands of new directors and thousands of new Emerald and World Team and Diamonds. And we're going to take over #1, and together we're going to end the trend. But let me tell you, so how many of you right now, as I close this, how many of you are committed to being your best first? I mean, if every hand doesn't go up, then I've done a major, then I have failed you. We're leaving convention, and I'm glad to see you're all committed to being your best, whatever that means to you. But you got to decide what that means. How many of you are committed to taking the next step in this business? Can I see a show of hands? Come to the breakout session, and we're going to talk about what you need to do to actually make that a reality. How many of you are committed to finding an accountability partner to hold you accountable because you realize you're only human and you need that encouragement and accountability? Can I see a show of hands? How many of you are just saying this because I'm asking you to, but how many of you actually believe and mean that? Can I see a show of hands? How many of you are willing to do uncomfortable things if necessary to reach your goals? How many of you are willing to put your action where your mouth is at? It's easy to talk. It's easy to say it. The next thing is doing it, right? When I didn't tell you this, but my Chelsea's little brother came out to stay with us that summer and beat me riding the unicycle. You think I like that? No, I'm competitive. But you still don't give up. So here's where it comes down. I will know how serious you are about this. And more importantly, you will know right now. You will know based on a certain action. And I don't say this to sell what I'm about to show you. I honestly don't. I will never sell something unless I 100% believe in it. People sometimes say, you're passionate, Josh, you can sell. Honestly, God is my witness. I am worthless if I do not believe in what I'm saying. And if I do, I look you in the eye and I feel absolutely guilty if I fail you at this. And I feel this way about what I'm about to say. You heard about those tickets. You heard we're spending 3.5 times what it cost, but what we're charging you, that $125 cost us multiple times to put this on. But we absolutely know you cannot teach what you do not know. You can't lead where you won't go yourself. So I'm asking you to look deep within and ask yourself, do you believe? Are you committed to next year? You go ahead and burn the bridge because that's not refundable. Burn the bridge right now. Buy 5 tickets because you can get 5 people to convention, and I'll help you get those 5 people to convention. But you'll know right now when you walk out of this room if you truly believe. You'll purchase 5 of those, and you know what? We haven't chosen the hotel yet. It's going to be one of the last 2 weekends of July of next year because we want to also, we're looking to you as the leaders. You tell me how big you want this convention to be. I believe we can at least double it. Do you? Do you believe that? No, I mean, do you really believe that? I believe it. Okay, let's go out there and let's put our money put our action where our mouth is at, and let's go home and tell our team, I'm going back with 5 people. Who wants to be one of those 5? I'm going to tell you something. You do that, that's the best way, by the way, to build your team. You say, I'm focusing on 3, but you already have an organization, so you need, I work at 3 leaders at a time like Louis teaches, right? You go home with 5 tickets this next year, and you say, I'm taking 5 people. Who wants to be one of those? You get that money from them right then and there and transfer the ticket to them. That's how you come back here and double and triple. You do what Alan Blaine did. He left here and bought tickets to Hawaii, having not even qualified. That's what you call faith, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I am over my time. Thank you for bearing with me. But I want to ask you, let's go out there. Let's go to the top together. I love you all. It's a privilege to serve you all. I thank you for what you're doing in the trenches. I thank you for the lives that you're impacting. And I promise you, I will do everything I possibly can to serve you and support you, and as with the whole team, as we take this company, we double and triple convention each year, and we just keep doing that, and we change lives. We take this company to number 1, and we end the trend. Amen? God bless.
4 hours till the night.